He thought it was just a harmless laser. But the moment he stepped into Judge Fleischer's courtroom, everything changed. Watch how one split-second mistake turns into a life-altering reality check.
Morning, Mr. Valentino.
Morning.
So you're charged with illuminating an aircraft with a laser pointer. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. The agreement that you have worked out is a 6-month deferred adjudication. This is a very serious agreement that you're entering into now. This is a type of probation that if you complete successfully, you do not end up with a conviction on your record, but you cannot tell people it was dismissed. It doesn't get dismissed. You do a probation, complete it successfully if you do, and you don't end up with a conviction. You understand the difference. You give up nearly every right known to man by entering into this agreement, telling us that you can complete this. And if you don't, you're facing an entire year in jail. You understand? You're giving up a lot of rights. You give up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. Once you accept this agreement, you are stuck with this until you complete it successfully or it gets revoked. If you do something to violate this agreement, like you pick up a new case, you don't do your class on time, you don't do your community service, I'm going to issue a warrant for your arrest, and we're going to have a hearing to see if you violated. If you do, you're looking an entire year. Do you understand? You still want to do this?
Yes, sir.
How do you plead to the illuminating an aircraft with a laser pointer improperly? Guilty or not guilty? I'm not going to find you guilty. I'm going to withhold it for 6 months. You will do an effective decision-making class, thinking for a change. No drugs, alcohol, 25 hours of community service. Did you graduate from high school? Okay, what are you doing now?
Electrical. I do electrical.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to maintain full-time employment while you're on the probation as well. I'll make you a deal. If you do well, you get everything done quick. I'll take you off in half the time. Meaning get your classes done, be nice to everybody. And if you do that, we can take you off in half the time as a reward. But if you mess up, it's not going to go well. Do you understand?
So,
All right, bud. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you, Judge. Thanks, John. Mr. Aguilar, you're charged with failure to stop and give information striking a highway fixture. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You're also charged with theft, a Class A misdemeanor where you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Law enforcement officer spoke with the complaining witness who stated that on April 2nd, 2025, he parked his truck in his company's parking lot, locked the truck, and when he returned the next day, his tailgate was missing. An employee of the complaining witness searched Facebook Marketplace and found a tailgate that matched the complaining witness's stolen tailgate and had recently been published. The law enforcement officer executed a sting operation to purchase the tailgate from the defendant, the seller, on Facebook Marketplace. He paid the defendant $140 for the tailgate. The defendant was subsequently arrested. The complaining witness stated the price to replace the tailgate was $1,117.65. The defendant stated he buys the tailgates from a friend for $75 and resells them for typically $300 to $400.
We have him taking the actual tailgate, right?
Yes, Your Honor, that's what it says. Well, it has him as the seller of the tailgate.
yeah, I didn't take the Your Honor.
Stop. Don't say anything. You have the right to remain silent. Exercise that right.
Yes, Your Honor, it has him as the seller and that it was recently published 2 hours ago on Facebook Marketplace. But those are the facts as far as the dim summary goes.
It says here that this defendant did then and there unlawfully appropriate by acquiring or otherwise exercising control over property, namely a tailgate owned by Jonathan Smith. Did he take the actual tailgate?
Your Honor, there are no facts alleged in the DIMS that he knowingly took the actual tailgate. However, the tailgate was in his possession and under his control.
Sure.
And he was the seller on Facebook Marketplace. There's no information in the DIMS, though, that represents that he was the actual individual that stole the tailgate. In fact, when the officers interview him, he says that a friend, he buys the tailgates from a friend
Mhm.
and then resells them on Facebook Marketplace.
Are we to assume that he knows that they're stolen? No. He's charged with theft, right?
Yes,
It's a specific intent crime. So if he's selling stolen property, somehow there has to be evidence that he knows that it's stolen. How do we know that he knows it's stolen? We don't operate on hunches.
Your Honor, there is also an allegation, or it's alleged in the DIMS that the defendant told the law enforcement officer that he was aware the tailgate was stolen.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Thank you. It's my fault.
Mr. Aguilar, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward in the theft case. What about the failure to stop and give information?
Failure to stop and give
Let's see. We need to do probable cause on that one as well, please.
Ready, Your Honor?
Yep.
Law enforcement officer was following up on this case in the original report. The defendant's vehicle struck a metal gate at an apartment complex. A witness looked out her window and saw the suspect vehicle and photographed the driver and passenger as they exited the vehicle. Law enforcement officers ran the plates and had the vehicle and owner information. The law enforcement officer later observed the defendant's vehicle in front of the residence. The vehicle had significant damage to the hood. The law enforcement officer made contact with the driver, the defendant. The defendant was ID'd to be the vehicle owner. The defendant stated he loaned his vehicle to an acquaintance he only knows through Instagram. The defendant showed the law enforcement officer the man's Instagram named Go Get a Veil. The defendant claimed that this man needed to borrow the car to pick up a girl. The defendant stated he would obtain the man's real name and provide it to the law enforcement officer by the end of the day. The law enforcement officer was not contacted by the defendant again. The law enforcement officer took a still shot on his body-worn camera of the defendant during the conversation. The law enforcement officer later compared the photos and saw the defendant was the same as the photo from the reportee. The law enforcement officer attempted to contact the defendant and could not. The apartment complex's estimated damages are $2,000. Got it.
Mr. Aguilar, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward on both of your cases. Can you tell me if he has a license to drive, please? Texas driver license.
John, can you check that on Aguilar?
Don't. I know that you are itching to say stuff. Don't.
Oh, no,
you
no,
have
no.
the right to remain silent. Exercise. I've got a bunch of DAs here. Whatever you say, they're going to use it against you. So just now's not the time to fight your case. You will have the opportunity to fight it. Just now's not the time. I want you to understand, Mr. Aguilar, I will do everything in my power to protect my city at all costs, including property. And if I find that you're a danger to my city, I'm going to lock you up and I'm going to make your bond so high, you'll have the hair falling out.
Yes,
Do
Your
you
Honor.
understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell Your Honor.
Tell me what time of night was. Do we know the theft of the tailgate? Was it in the middle of the night?
So it was reported around 5 p.m. That's the only information we have, Your Honor.
I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to pick up any new cases, not to have any contact with the complaining witness in the theft case, not to go within 200 feet of where they live or where they work. Do not pick up any new cases. You are not allowed to drive unless you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance in your name, and that is also a bond condition. If I find that you're driving without car insurance, likewise, you will go to jail. That's it. If I end up revoking your bonds for one thing or the other, they're probably going to end up around 10, maybe 15,000. And if you don't have anyone to pony up that kind of money, you will be stuck like Chuck in there until this case is over. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We are going to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I will have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, I'm going to have you take a seat in the jury box while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it. After that, you'll be free to go. Don't be a danger to my city. You understand me?
I understand.
Come on.
If you think this moment with Judge Fleischer was intense, just wait. The next cases are even more unbelievable. Hit subscribe now, because you won't want to miss what's coming next.